job advertisement would be, I need Indian speaking. Then with that, I'll take it so positive. Like, I don't speak Hindi, so the employer is fine. Like, you can always want what you want. Good morning, good afternoon, beautiful people. How are you doing? Welcome back to the Littlesilver channel, and for my community, thank you so much. I do appreciate your support, and for the new viewers, please thank you so much for dropping by, and please consider to subscribe and support our community. In this channel, we do experiences based on lifestyle, adventure, and the risks in between. In this video, we are going to look at the new UAE labor laws, which are going to be in effect as from February 2022. Having been in the UAE market and having signed a contract here, I know it can be tricky to analyze. Until I got into a situation, it's when I got serious into looking on what are my rights, what do I need to know, and there was too much of information to process. So I think it's important when you're in the job market to be able to know what could go wrong, or what you can be able to look out for when you're signing new contract, or anytime you're engaging to your employer. It's all roses, flowers, and butterflies when we hear these new labor laws, which seems to me okay. But then I went into it and tried to analyze, not an employer in an employer perspective, but in an employee perspective. And it's deep than it's presented in the media, and it's deep than you may know. First, you have 40 hours work hours, which has always been the case. But in this new law is that you can either do a full week, 40 hours, you can do temporary work as well, and you can do flexible work. Your 40 hours, you can split them. For example, if your employee is quite accommodating, you can do your 40 hours in 3 days. That is required. It also enables you to share your work. Let's say you share your 20-day work with someone and you do it in 10 days, and then you can split the amount and share between the two of you. What do you need to know? So, previously, there were two types of contracts: limited contracts and unlimited contracts. Limited contracts had a specified time duration for your work engagement, 2 years, 3 years. But then there was also unlimited contracts, which didn't specify any time, or where you can disengage, or where you can quit your job and leave your employer. It did not give clear terms. And with this, most people ended up getting fined. For instance, if you wanted to leave, if you got into a misunderstanding with your employer and you want maybe to leave to go to your country, then you realize your contract is unlimited and maybe you have to pay a fine. There will be only one type of contract, which is limited contract, and it will be not more than 3 years and can be renewed as well. So depending on your agreement, depending on agreement between you and your employer, if you wish to renew, at least you have freedom. Maybe if you want to do a career change, or you want to take a break, you can be able to take a break. I saw very interesting leaves, which has been amended. So this leave is in the private sector, and it's a mourning leave. If you lose a close relative, you are given a 3 to 5 days to go and mourn for your relative. I remember one time a colleague of mine lost their father, and it's like the message is relayed, but then this person is still on shift. Like, no one, I just imagined why are people not like, are people not humans? Because where we come from, if I was like the manager or the boss, I'd be like, just go home and relax. But this lady literally got the news that their dad had passed, and within a few minutes they're back to the cash counter and like billing customers. I'm like, how are you even going to relate to customers when you already lost your dad? And the next few days they were at work until they traveled to go and do the funeral arrangement. I was like, I didn't know there was no actually law that covers that, but so this is good. You can just take time. If you finish 2 years of a work contract and you are registered with any study institution, then you are entitled to a 10-day study leave. I don't think this is necessarily that you'll be studying. I just think maybe it could be to take your exams, or even I think it's some sort of a break, because I mean you have been juggling between career and study, so it's a whole tough situation, I can imagine. And the maternity leave, I don't know what it used to be, but it's 60 days. 45 days is full wage paid, and 15 days is on half pay, which is great. And if, for example, you happen to have a kid who is disabled, so let's say you gave a premature birth or something of the sort, your kid is not okay, then you are entitled to have 30 extra days added to your maternity leave. To be added extra time was not there. So the next amendment is that there will be prohibition of bullying, discrimination and harassment. I would gladly be happy to see the discrimination part, and I hope going forward you will not be in a job portal and see nationality specific jobs. This goes out to all employers. Let's say you need to hire Asian or particularly Indian. So what you should do, our advice, so that you don't end up offending or making people feel segregated, what you need to do, the best way to place your job advertisement would be, I need Indian speaking. Then with that, I'll take it so positive, like I don't speak Hindi, so the employer is fine. Like, you can always want what you want. It's your company, you're running your own profits, and we are not entitled to act to your company. If at all, we want to go where we are wanted. We want to go and work where the same respect is reciprocated to us. So if you need Indian speaking, write that in the application, but don't write English speaking, bachelor's degree, good in customer service, and then you put no Nigerians or no Africans or all nationality. That is low level public relations, or how we view your company. If you need Russian speaking, if you need Chinese speaking, a bit open. The fact that you put all nationality in your job advertisement already raises flags. So I think, I hope when we apply for jobs and don't see that kind of nationality segregation, then I will be okay and impressed with the non-discrimination part. And you cannot work for more than 5 hours without a break. So 5 hours, 1 hour break. So it's fair enough, because when you work for 8 hours, you have a 1 hour break. But sometimes, I remember one time, I couldn't believe my eyes, my head, and my life. I worked from 10 a.m. in the morning until midnight, 12 a.m. and that is almost 1 a.m. When I left work, I couldn't even believe, like, how can someone keep you at work and you work like that? Like, I couldn't even believe I was able to. That is almost 2 days. You just respect people who are in this market and working. Treat them with compassion, be kind. When they visit home, please be kind to them. They have gone through a lot. And don't make it about money. If they tell you they don't have money, just believe them. Maybe they have not even been paid sometimes. Personally, I haven't experienced that, but some people do. So just show a lot of compassion for anyone who has left their own country and have gone to work in a different place. Some people even used to get here and you don't get to work to the place that was promised. Maybe you are promised a different salary, and when you get here you get a different salary. And because you already made a commitment and you so much want to help your family, you just choose to stay, because as well maybe the contractual terms don't allow you to get here, look at the scenarios and just leave. Maybe you could be fined a lot of fines or just crazy. So yeah, be kind to your family members who are abroad, who are working in diaspora. They are already doing much to be there. It's hard work. It's hard work to be in a different place where you could be like treated differently, or you could be having maybe 2 or 3 jobs to be able to even sustain yourself. This life. So the other one is that before, if you had a case with your employer and you want to file a case with the labor department or the labor offices, you needed to pay some fees. But now, unless you are claiming for more than 100,000 dirhams in compensation, then you can pay for them. Then you can pay to file a case. Other than that, any compensations you want to claim below 100,000 dirhams, you can just easily go to the labor offices and file a case without having to pay an amount. Probation is not more than 6 months, and if an employer wants to terminate your services, they need to give you a notice. Previous laws enabled an employer to just fire you or terminate you without giving you any notice. In the new law, for an employer to terminate your services or your contract, they need to give you a notice period. 2 weeks notice by an employer before termination. And if you want to quit, then you need to give the normal 1 month and serve your notice period, or it's usually that you either pay a 1 month salary or you can serve your notice period, which is 1 month basic pay. So the new rules has no room for immediate termination. No. If an employer terminates you immediately, you need to know it's your right, like you're supposed to be given 2-week notice by your employer before they terminate you. Then if you want to leave the country, you can give 14-day notice. Previously, whether you want to leave the country or you want to just leave the work, you need to give always 1 month notice. But with the new rules is that if you're fed up, if you're fed up and you're tired, just want to go home, you can give a 14-day notice and leave your work and go. It's like an emergency notice, I would say. And it's so nice. Like sometimes you're just like, I'm done, I am done. So in this case, the employer will not like be entitled to maybe deduct your salary or give you a fine or give you a ban, sort of. 14-day notice if you want to leave UAE and go to your home country. The employer doesn't have any right to do immediate termination. And if they need to terminate you, they need to give you a 2 weeks notice. And if you choose to leave by your own will, then you need to give a 1 month notice period to your employer. I noticed 3 limitations to the new rules, which you just need to be aware of, because sometimes we look at the bigger picture and forget the finer details. So one is always check your contract, what your contract says, because sometimes there are non-compete clauses, and non-compete clauses can limit you from the kind of work you take. For example, yes, the law allows you to work for more than one employer, I think 2, but then at some point you get an extra work with another employer with related work to your own employer. If there's a non-compete clause in your contract, then you cannot work for this employer because the businesses are related. So whenever you sign your contracts, just make sure you are aware of if there's any non-compete clause, because this can be very volatile. This clause can be made to relate to so many other companies, like, you know, in retail, like we have so many companies that have administrative offices and as well as retail. So if you work for an employer for a retail, then they can put an non-compete clause and even deny you to work for another retailer, even if it's working in an office. So always be on the lookout for the non-compete clause. And also the non-compete clause can mean that if you leave this employer, maybe you need a certain period of time to work for a new employer. Let's say in engineering field, let's say some engineering field, you are required to have 1 year duration before you work for another employer. Then if you leave without notice, you can get 1 year ban. So that is another thing. It's like the ban is coming back with the new rules. If you leave UAE, if you give your employer 14-day notice, you leave the country and come back within 3 months and you want to switch employer, then the new employer is supposed to compensate your old employer the recruitment fees or the contractor fees. For example, if the employer employed you from your own country, they catered for everything for you to come to UAE, then they will be required to compensate the old employer. This applies as well if you want to switch jobs. If you want to switch jobs, you will give 1 month notice period, and as well the new employer you are going to work for is supposed to pay or compensate your old employer any fees they incurred during recruitment when they were recruiting you, whether from within the country, I think, but mostly they incur a lot of recruitment fees if they come and recruit from your own home country. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Please subscribe, share, comment, and like. Enjoy working in the UAE. Merry Christmas. Bye.